Hi, everyone. I thought that I would just jump on here and do a reading today. I wanted to just look at some stuff about Trump because, as we all know, things are totally bananas in the country right now. So I just needed to pull out my decks and explore when this craziness might end and also just to see what might be coming up next. So I hope you're all doing well out there and staying focused and positive and taking care of yourselves and your family. We need to be really supportive of each other right now more than ever. Okay, so let's dive in. So this will be a 10 position spread, and I will be blending tarot and Lenormand in each position just to give it a little bit more of an in depth and direct reading. I have already shuffled the cards and laid them out, and I'm ready to go. So, all right, let's begin. So, here we have in position one, we have the Two of Pentacles and the Moon and the Clover. So, right off the bat, we are in a time of major juggling. The Two of Pentacles tells us that everything is in flux. There's a lot of back and forth and a lot of decisions being weighed, and honestly, a lot of chaos behind the scenes. So, this isn't a clear break, but more like a balancing act where different forces are trying to keep things from toppling over completely. And then here with the moon and the clover, um, which adds another layer to this. So the moon is about public perception and recognition and cycles. And the clover is all about luck and fleeting opportunities. So, what does that mean in this context? Well, it looks like Trump's influence is still lingering, but it's lingering by a thread. So the luck that was once, propping things up um, appears to be running out, and public sentiment is shifting. There's still an attempt to maintain control, but it's getting harder and it's getting harder to keep everything in balance. Okay. Now we have what led to this. So basically, the forces behind the scene. So at the heart is a return to structure and order. So the emperor is stepping in here, and it's telling us that institutional forces like legal and political and also systematic have reached their breaking point. So this era isn't ending because of one person's downfall alone. It's happening because the traditions and the foundations of leadership and law and government are reasserting themselves. The institutions that may have seemed powerless before are now stepping back. They're stepping back in to take control. Okay. And then we have the stars and the fish, and this is a rather interesting combination in this context. So the stars represent vision and hope and direction, while the fish it represents like money and commerce and abundance. So this strongly suggests that financial and economic factors played a significant role in the shift. And maybe it's the money trail catching up, maybe it's the donors pulling out, or maybe it's just the financial incentives, aren't there anymore. But either way, the forces that once kept this era afloat are now dissolving. Thank God. Okay. Then we have what is happening behind the scenes. Okay. So, um, behind closed doors, everything is at a standstill. Or at least it looks that way on the surface. So the hangman tells us that things are being, put on pause, but not for no reason. This is strategic. This is like a strategic waiting game. So, um, decisions are being delayed and pieces are moving behind the curtain, and there's a sense of preparing for the right moment to act. So this isn't just about letting things play out, it's definitely about timing. And then we have the mice and the snake. And this combination is um it's messy. Let's just, the mice are all about like slow decay and stress and things being eaten away little by little. And the snake, well, that's about deception and manipulation and hidden agendas. So what we're seeing here is an internal breakdown. Corruption at its core and betrayals and legal troubles are steadily chipping away at what's left. Lies are being exposed, and the people who basically once stood firm are either jumping ship or they're basically turning on each other. It's like watching a structure slowly crumble from the inside out. In here, we in this position, we have what the how the public sees this transition. So there is no sugarcoating this. The public is divided and we're hurting. The Three of Swords doesn't pull any punches. This is heartbreak, delusionment, and painful truths. So, no matter what side people are on, this transition is cutting deep. For some, it's the end of the movement they believed in, and for others, it's a long overdue reckoning. So, either way, emotions are definitely running high. And then we have um, then we have the ship and the lady, and which paints a pretty interesting picture. The ship is about moving forward and progress and leaving things behind, while the lady can represent a significant female figure, or even the collective energy of the public, especially women. So this tells me that there's a push for change, and there's a desire to move on, and possibly a shift in leadership towards someone new, maybe even a woman taking a more prominent role in the shaping of the future. And then we have the defining moment that ends the era. So, this isn't going to be one single dramatic event, at least not in the way people expect. The Seven of Cups, can show us that this is more about illusions and confusion and slow unraveling of false promises. It's as if the people who held on the longest will start to wake up and realize that what they believed in wasn't what they thought it was. It's a delusionment moment, rather than a dramatic downfall. And here we have the lilies and the dog. And so the lilies, they point to wisdom and experience, and sometimes an older figure, which, or while the dog can represent loyalty and allies and trust. So this makes me think that someone who was once a close ally, someone respected, maybe even older and more established, will play a role in closing this chapter for good. It could be a former supporter turning against Trump, or someone stepping up to definitively shut the door on this era. And here we have when will this era officially end? So, this isn't something that just ends overnight. It's a process. The Three of Pentacles tells us that the conclusion comes through collaboration and teamwork and different forces working together. So whether it's legal battles, political maneuvers, or financial pressure, it'll take a coordinated effort to put an official end to it. And then here, the Lenormand gives us the heart with the birds. And so, this is also interesting. The heart represents deep emotions and loyalty and passion the bird symbolizes discussions and negotiations and media chatter. So this tells me that a major emotional moment, or something possibly tied to public debates or political discourse or even a legal ruling, will mark the final shift. It might not be one single day, but a clear moment where it's obvious. So, and that will signify that this is the end. The next position is what happens immediately after all of this. So, the lovers here suggest a crossroad. So, America will face a choice. Do we heal or do we stay divided? This isn't an instant fix, but it does show that the country will be faced with an opportunity to move forward, rebuild, and redefine its direction. Here we have the coffin and the ring from the Lenormand. And, this makes it even clearer. So the coffin is about endings and closure and transformation, while the ring symbolizes agreements and contracts and commitments. So this tells me that, key policies and alliances or deals tied to Trump's era will be dissolved, and some legal matters may also reach their final conclusion, um, officially closing the chapter. Now, here we have the long term impact. So, here I see a strong and decisive leader might emerge next. So, the King of Wands is all about vision and confidence and leadership with purpose. So, this isn't someone hesitant or passive. This is someone stepping up with a clear plan for the future. And then we have the letter with the bear. And, the letter represents official documents, media, communication, and the bear symbolizes power and authority. So, what we can expect are, major legal and governmental action to shape the post Trump era. Um, it looks like strong leadership and structured governance, excuse me, will take center stage. And then, who or what takes center stage. So here we have the Nine of Wands, and that tells us that resilience is the key. And the people who step up now are the ones who've been through, the battle. They've faced the resistance and kept standing. This isn't about, fresh, untested faces. It's about, those who have endured and are still willing to fight for what's next. Then we have the house and the mountain. And the house represents stability and tradition and government institutions, while the mountain symbolizes um, obstacles and challenges. So this tells me that while the system, remains intact, um, there will still be struggles and resistance. So the fight for influence isn't quite over yet. Now, here we have advice from Spirit of how to navigate this shift. So, Spirit wants to remind us that things aren't always as they seem. And there's a lot of misinformation and fear and deception, and that's going to be everywhere. So stay grounded, trust your intuition, and always seek clarity. And the key in the man of the Lenormand is telling us that, a major revelation is coming, and an important figure will play a role in bringing the truth to light. So, that's what I have for today. Thank you so much. So I just wanted to say that, the Trump era doesn't end in one big explosion. It fades, it crumbles, and is eventually replaced. And the key now is how we navigate the shift and also what lessons we take forward. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time.